Hello, welcome to the Square Base Show with your host, Rob and Val, and this exciting preview of the Arcane Journal, Tomb King, Settra.
Settra's upset.
Settra's furious.
He's angry.
He's so angry, and I don't know why he's so angry. We need to have a word with him, I think. What do you think?
I think he's got some ego issues, I think, Settra. I think that's fair to say. The War of Settra's Fury, people. That's what we're reviewing today.
Which is a book narratively about Settra and his drive into what we would think of as the kind of the Free States of Bretonia, the kind of that amalgamating area between Breton and the wastelands a little bit. That's where we're fighting.
I think often referred to as the border princes.
Yes. So that's what happens. And I've read the story the whole way through. Quite interesting. The TLDR is...
Is that what you said?
No, okay, it's not interesting. It's actually quite poorly written. If you've watched our last lore review, which was overt so much about the logistics of supply carts, which was narratively correct.
Yes.
This one is...
This is what you've been looking for in lore, as we learned in our Wars of Chaos lore review.
Yeah.
Very keen to know more about logistics, and they delivered, so I don't know why you're complaining.
Yeah, this one is like an overview of a very small skirmish, but somehow they just repeat the same thing. But either way, this does bring into the limelight three factions. Specifically brings into the limelight Tomb Kings. So we are going to be reviewing the updates where they get some new a new mount option, a new unit, and also they get some new ways to do magic. Then there's also going to be it's an amalgamation between Bretonian and Empire. And I was thinking about this a lot. It's not necessarily robber barons. It's not quite that. It's kind of, nobleless, like mercenary companies. It's not dogs of war for sure. But I was thinking...
Not dogs of war.
I think it would have been much cooler if they'd have kind of made it feel like it was like a robber baron thing. But it's not that, is it? This is an empire first in the border princes army. So like if we go back to Tamarkand, you had Leopold the Black had sort of an army list that was very similar to this. And then of course it is I guess the reverse of this would be the Bretonian version, which I can't remember the name of ever. Bretonian Exiles.
Exiles. Thank you. So yeah, this is the equivalent of the Exiles. It's basically just representing an outcast count or something with his band of, like you said, mercenaries living in the border princes, the sort of lawless, the Deadwood of the old world, the lawless area. Of course, also a lot of lip service paid to Tilea and Estalia, Warhammer Italy and Spain.
Even some cool artwork in the book that references that. Yes,
this. Probably like the lead here is that no, not dogs of war, which we've been hinting at for some time. That it didn't feel like this was going to be dogs of war, and this is not dogs of war. However, I think that's actually a good thing, Rob, because I feel like maybe they're not here because they've been they've actually been broadened out, like they're actually going to do a proper dogs of war army. Because there were some pretty reliable rumors about this particular release, Renegade Crowns, and they had a lot more actual legit Dogs of War elements in it. And so those aren't here. So they went somewhere. And we know that this studio does not waste things that they have typed. Okay, we said Cathay was cut and pasted a lot from the Legacy Armies.
Not even miniatures that an apprentice sculpted 15 years ago. They'll waste nothing.
These guys do not waste anything. So I will tell you right now that it feels as though Dogs of War maybe are slated for bigger and better things, of which this is not it.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm really excited about that. That's exactly what I was going to say. I was going to say the Dogs of War not being in here does make it really exciting that we're going to get Dogs of War in the future or see something similar. I'd also like to say, as much as I found some of the at least narrative writing a little dry, there are loads of great army shots. There's some amazing artwork in this book. And also, there's some really good kind of like set piece battles and ideas, as well as something called Battle March, which we're going to cover in another video. So overall, as a product, I think it's a little bit like, it's a little ad hoc. It seems to be, doesn't really have like a full identity, like a pure arcane journal. But I really enjoyed it. And one of the things we always neglect to do, not because we don't think it, I just want to say I'm really enjoying these. And I hope to see more arcane journals in the future. And a special shout out to all the creatives because it's cool to see. That's what I'm going to say.
Amazing.
So then we've got the Renegade Crowns. And then there's also in here a Slayer army. So there's some rules for running a Slayer army. Don't get your hopes up. That's all I'm going to say. You can already figure out what it's going to be before we get started.
It's not horrendous, and also I think it's a better way to, if you really want to run pure Slayers, I think it's a better way to run it. It's going to have some janky opportunity, I think. So we'll get into it when we get there. And they also gave it access to some units that you maybe wouldn't have expected. So that that they do have, they got, I don't know, they got more moves than your average Slayer would, but an average Slayer is incredibly expensive 0 armor save model. So, temper those expectations. But I think the general vibe should be fun, right? Like I think definitely thematic and fun.
That's actually something we should bring up before we go any further. Like, really ask yourselves, the dear viewer, humble viewer, what it is you are hoping for and wanting out of these sorts of books. I know for a fact what I personally don't want is some sort of like match play, like competitive edge, like solving the meta sort of like update. What I really want, which I think the old world like needs, is a new narrative way, or a new like thematic way. Narrative is the wrong word. Thematic way to build and run different army archetypes. And you do have that here in 2 different armies. And I think that's really cool. And I think like you should, on face value, we should be like going, that's fun. Is it strong? Probably not. But that doesn't mean that it's bad. It means that it's like not like, can you build something creative and themey based on it? And I think the answer is yes or no. So I just wanted to point that out there as well, because in some cases they're not strong, like we saw for Hosts of Talzin. Shout out.
Although with special features. Now, maybe the hosts of in the match play guide with special features in like 4 out of the 6 missions or something like that. Maybe Host of Talzin's got some extra moves for Woodies. Who knows?
No, had them play recently at ours. Actually, it was quite fun. Okay, so we'll dive into this first one. Oh, unless you
can we. Yeah. I do have one thing that we should say. This episode is brought to you by our patrons, of course. Thank you for all your support. And then also, Rob and I have events and stuff. I know Rob's got some new events going up for sale very soon. And I just want, it's probably my second last opportunity to plug the Square Base Open Toronto, October 18th and 19th. I have been elbow deep in the FAQ all week. It is horrifying work, but I think we got there. We're up to 44 players, which makes it one of the larger events in the world. And please, if you would like to join us, Blue Jays are in the playoffs. You can catch a game. You can come you can come play some Warhammer. It's going to be awesome. Toronto, October 18th, 19th, Square Base Open. You can find it on BCP and in the didgeridoo below. Thank you.
Sweet. Perfect. I think all my events this year are sold out now. So if you go on the tsnarena.com, then you can look for the events that are coming up. I don't think we got a newsletter. I feel like we should have a sign-up newsletter. I feel like that's something, or like at least like sign up to let me know. I don't know. We should do that. I'm not sure what to do.
Yeah. Newsletter. Yeah. Emails are apparently useful for businesses and such. Maybe we should look into that.
Gross. All right. Okay. So the first thing we're going to look at is we're going to look at Tomb Kings. Okay. So first to come out is Tomb Kings, and they get something called the Incantations of the Mortuary Cults. These are effectively bound spells, which you cast via leadership tests, and once they are successfully cast once, they're going to go away. We're going to go through these in more detail now. First up, we're going to talk about the units that can use these incantations, because a lot of people are thinking this was only bound to Mortuary Cult, right?
I think that would be a reasonable guess or assumption, but no, these are just bound to certain units that are allowed to equip them.
Yeah. So to represent the mortuary cults having these the incantations, then you can have some scrolls. Incantation scrolls cannot be duplicated. That's important on the same model, and no 2 characters in your army can have the same combination of incantation spells. So they're a lot like Dwarven runes.
Yes. Yeah.
And then a high priest can purchase up to 3 incantation spells. Mortuary priest may purchase up to 2 incantation spells, and necrotex and arch necrotex may purchase up to 1 incantation spell. Do you want to take me through performing an incantation, because there's some pretty interesting stuff here?
Yeah, this is a weird hybrid of the sort of leadership test effect and also a magical thing. So let's take a look. Each incantation scroll contains a bound spell. However, unlike most bound spells, no casting roll is made for an incantation. Instead, when a character wishes to cast the bound spell contained within an incantation scroll or perform an incantation, they must make a leadership test using their own leadership. Okay, so that seems pretty straightforward. If this test is passed, the character is able to maintain their concentration amidst the tumult of battle and perform the incantation. The bound spell is cast at its given casting value. If this test is failed, the character's concentration falters and they are unable to perform the incantation.
So the important part here that I know that you would like to bring up is that when this is cast, it is not cast as a casting roll, right? We were talking about this for MR,
yes.
Magic Resistance specifically.
Yes. So like magic resistance would affect the casting roll. There is no casting roll here. You're doing your leadership test. So this does get around magic resistance, which is interesting. However, and then also, as we may or may not all know, the BSB, or the Battle Standard Bearer for Tomb Kings, Undead in general, allows you to reroll leadership checks. So you're probably going to reliably get it off, as in like be able to cast it. However, it is going to be cast at a fairly low, juicy casting value, making it maybe vulnerable to dispel, which is, I guess, how we'll talk about next.
Yeah, so dispel an incantation can be dispelled just like any other spell. To dispel an incantation, the result of the dispel roll needs to be higher than the incantation's given casting value. And most of them are like 8s or 9s. So it's going to be not fairly easy, but you're more likely to be able to get rid of it. In addition, there's some other little rules, some wrinkles. Miscast and perfect invocations. When performing an incantation, there's no risk of a miscast or a chance of a perfect invocation. And when dispelling an incantation, there's no risk of being outclassed in the art.
That's interesting. So that's not something normally for bound spells.
No.
I don't. Yeah, it's interesting that you can't miscast on the dispel, but cool. Just something to remember.
Mm-hmm. And then they go away, right? These are kind of once per games, but not quite.
Yeah, they are all once. Yeah, they're all one.
Well, they're all once per game, yeah, but they're not once per try.
That's right. Yeah. Yes. So this is weird because this contradicts how single-use items work elsewhere, and I'd love to see them actually extend this to all the other single-use items that exist now. But words crumble like dust. The bound spell contained within an incantation scroll can be performed only once, after which the scroll will crumble to dust. The power contained within it is spent. However, if an attempt to perform an incantation is unsuccessful, the incantation has not been read to its end. In other words, the scroll does not crumble, and the character may attempt to perform it again in a later turn.
Let's go.
So you get to you get to use it, like you get to try using it until you successfully incant it. And then, but that it still crumbles if it's dispelled, though. So if you do get dispelled, it's still gone.
Yeah. At which point, I think it then becomes decanted. Is that the science?
Decanted. Yes. Yeah. I think that's the science.
That's the science.
We're magic sommeliers.
Okay. So I mean, I quite like that. Personally, I like that, and I agree with you. You'd like to see more single-use items kind of go down this route where it's the first time it's successfully used. But just because if you successfully cast it, this is important, and then your opponent dispels it, it's still going to go away.
Mm-hmm. Yes. It's still used up.
Still used up. All right, so what incantations do we get? All right, Val, you always get to the most valuable one. Let's take us through. Yeah.
Oh, that's nice. All right, so here we go. We got the Scroll of Withering for a whopping 50 points. So what's interesting there is that like your lower tier characters can still afford this one if it was the only thing they equipped. So that's interesting. So this is a hex. Casting value is 8. The range is 21 inches, so pretty good distance on it. The effect is, until your next start of turn subphase, the target enemy unit suffers a -1 modifier to its strength and initiative characteristics and cannot make any ward or regeneration saves.
Sound the alarm.
This bound spell may target an enemy unit engaged in combat. Wow. That's good.
I'd just like to say for the person that's like just flipped the table or knocked their drink over, hearing no ward or regeneration saves, just simmer down.
And -1 strength and initiative. I mean, that's a lot, especially if you can also put that into combat.
Yeah. I agree. 21-inch range is pretty good because maybe you can be outside a range of like dispels or people are trying to shut you down, which I think is pretty clutch. 50 points though is super expensive. But I guess really it's like, are you planning on having a go turn? Is there a turn when you're like, I want that unit and I want to wreck them? And is this going to be worth it? Are there units inside the meta or the game that like, that's the unit, is your friend always running that unit with the ward saves or regen saves that pisses you off and you just want to shut it down one time? That's, you know, there's a lot of edge cases and I think there's maybe an argument for a really good case, but 50 points is a lot.
You could think of also too, like Ushabti, like shooting bricks these days are somewhat popular and they don't have a massive volume of shots necessarily. But they have very high quality shots. So if you, for a turn, were able to, get rid of that warden regen reliably, and then your go turn when you really want to try and strip off as much, as much hit points off of it as you possibly can, maybe this is a good thing.
Yeah, I agree.
But it is fairly conditional, right? So like a casting value of 8 does leave it rather vulnerable to dispel. And at least it does have the range. So I think that it's interesting. 50 points is a lot, though, despite how powerful that effect is.
What's also interesting is that you don't have like a points cap. You just have, you can have 3 scrolls if you're taking like the highest character. So you could easily spend crazy points in addition to some of these characters. Like,
so I misspoke before. That's right. So yeah, the whether or not you have room for magic items it doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. So you could, like a character could be like magic items. It's kind of like the Wood Elves Fursona. It's an additional thing, right?
Yes, much like the Wood Elves Fursonas.
I mean, that's what they are. Okay, right. The Scroll of Summoning is 45 points. It's an enchantment with a casting value of 8, range 21 inches, and the target for any unit regains D3 lost wounds and until the start of turn subphase, until the next start of turn subphase, improves the armor value of its regeneration save by 1. Okay. So obviously, I think this feels like a very solid one, especially if you're running some of the bigger monsters. Even maybe not the D3, but the regen save going up by 1 for a turn feels very positive. Like again, it's 45 points. It's very expensive. You have a lot of like resing and healing, but it feels very good to me.
Yeah, look, the improved regen save is pretty gnarly, especially on like, you can think of using this on maybe like a Tomb King or something like that. Again, the danger is being dispelled here for 45 points. And then, you do have access to, just innately a lot of ability to regain wounds. And you could roll a 1 on that D3. So I don't know if the value's there for this one, considering you can do this for cheaper, more reliably elsewhere in the army, but still handy.
Also, if you're a Tomb King player and you're like, absolutely, I'm loving this, like, please do leave in the comments like what your thoughts are, because we always want to know. Okay, next one's you, Scroll of Awakening.
The Scroll of Awakening for 40 points. It's a magic missile. Okay, so 40-point magic missile. This better be quite the missile. Casting value of 9, so a little bit harder, but again, harder to dispel. So range of 27 inches.
Fantastic.
The effect is place a small 3-inch blast template so that its central hole is directly over the center of the target enemy unit. Any enemy model whose base lies underneath the template risks being hit and suffering a single strength 4 hit with an AP of 2.
Okay. Once per game. I mean, it's a massive range. It's also a template, but then you've got to roll to be hit. And then strength 4, it's AP2. So
I think your Casket of Souls is doing this job better.
Yeah, for sure. The next one, the Scroll of the Outcast Dead, is 35 points, and it's a magical vortex. Casting value of 8, and it's got a range of 18 inches. It remains in play, and it's a small 3-inch blast template, so the central hole is within 18 inches of the caster. And while in play, the template is treated as difficult terrain. The template scatters D6 inches every start of turn subphase. Any unit, friend or foe, that moves through the template or that the template moves over suffers a single strength 4 hit with an AP of 2 and has multiple wounds D3. Any unit that suffers 1 or more unsafe wounds from this weapon must take a panic test if it had taken heavy casualties. Now, like, it's not bad, right? If you, like you say, you're taking some bows, you're taking some scream skull catapults, you're trying to generally make it so your opponent has to rush to you. Also, now in the game, we're in this really funky position where objectives are on the board. So I can put a template around an objective space and be like, you know, you're going to fuck around there?
Make it dangerous, yeah.
Yeah. Like, is that what you want to do? But, like, as fun as that is, I don't know if it's going to be very effective.
Yeah, again, a bigger issue here too is that vortexes are now dispelled from the distance to the vortex. So it's more likely that, you know, if there is any you know, casters on the other side, that they're going to be within range of getting any bonuses to dispel that they might have. So on this one, if it does get off, because also it's 18-inch range, pretty short, you know, it maybe gets to move once, and then although. If it does survive both the dispel in the you know, when you cast it, and it survives the dispel at the start of your opponent's turn, well, then it's going to be bouncing around quite a bit, and then that does cause perhaps a lot of issues. The friend or foe thing makes it pretty dangerous. I don't know. It's interesting, but this might be more of a for funsies thing. I probably like it over the magic missile just for the chaos factor that this might be able to introduce. Yeah, because
I don't mind a for funsy thing though. Like, give me some more for funsy things that are silly.
Yeah, I would like be more interested in taking one or two of these than, you know, the Scroll of Awakening for sure.
Next one though, very good. This one's you. This one's decent.
All right, this is a Scroll of Urgency for 30 points. It's a conveyance spell, casting value of 7, range of 21 inches. If the target friendly unit has already moved during the movement phase, not including failed charge moves, it can immediately move again. So it's basically it's an arcane urgency in your pocket. Very achievable casting level for 30 points. Yeah.
But it also just adds another one. And you can have multiple of these in your army. It's like, if you combo them, you can have one on a character, you can have this plus the cheapest one, Scroll Smiting. So there's potential to just push a lot of stuff very aggro, very early.
Can you double move a guy, maybe? Is that possible?
No, has already moved. No, because you couldn't be affected by the same conveyance spell. Like, because you can't double Arcane Urgency.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm pretty certain. So then, but I think that one's really solid. I'm not really keen on a bunch of Tomb King monsters, like just gunning down the board on me. But yeah, you know, they can spend 100 points or so and push a lot of monsters very far, very quick. Yes, and like especially you want you'd want to target stuff that has fly, because you can't march usually with undead. But there's some big things out there that would love to move twice. Your necrosphinxes, and your zombie dragons, your bone dragons. What about your winged warsphinx? What soon. About your winged warsphinx? Coming soon. I think that one's good. And then that last one. This is your fave, right? Is this your fave? The Scroll of Righteous Smiting for 10 points. Well, you love a cheap one, right? Yeah. So like for 10 points, now we're talking like, oh, I got some points left over. What can so if it has any useful value, this might just wind up being the most common one. So the Scroll of Righteous Smiting is an enchantment, casting value of 7, range of self, remains in play whilst the spell is in play. Friendly units whose troop type is War Machine that are within the caster's command range can re-roll a single artillery dice or scatter dice per turn, which makes your Screaming Skull catapults a little more reliable. And this is every Screaming Skull catapult. That's right. Each one, it's 10 points. That's mad. Yeah, that's so good. It's pretty good. Yeah. So if you have, and a lot of times, you're going to have characters hanging out in the back, maybe nearer to where those catapults might even already be chilling if you have them, or even just one dude with this to make sure that the Screaming Skull lands on target. I don't think that's bad for 10 points. Okay, so I need we're going to do a new thing during these reviews now, where I need from you, but I also need from people watching. I need people maybe watching live or watching back and leaving the comments. You inclusive. I need two things. Let's review it from: is it cool and is it strong? Like there's because they're not necessarily linked. So we start off with: is it cool? What do you think about this? Is this a cool addition to Tomb Kings? Okay. What's your thoughts? Oh, this in general, like all of these things? I think it's because this bit, yeah. I think it's cool. It feels like a bit of a hat on a hat, I would say. We're adding some I
I mean, we're adding some new things that Tomb Kings can do. So if you're a Tomb Kings player, awesome. Like, that's fun. But at the same time, like, I don't know, maybe they could have just done another Lore of Magic. Maybe that would have been more interesting or something like that. But yeah, I think there's some neat effects in here that are going to be fun to use. Introduce a little chaos, or be useful again on a go turn or whatever. I think the conditions required to be successful, though, make them unreliable, and you're paying a cost for them. So I don't know how, like, in like big games, like in like really competitive lean lists, I don't know how much of these will actually appear. We'll see. But I think just for funsies, there's some great options here. I think specifically, I do like the Vortex for just introducing a swirling melee of death in the middle of your opponent's lines.
So is it fun? Yeah. Or is it cool? Yes. And is it strong? Do you think? Do you think this ups the effectiveness of Tomb Kings as a unit army?
I'm curious to know if there's a way to get the Scroll of Withering, the value out of that for the 50 points you spend on it. But again, like, that feels like something that could be really impactful if something's just got to go, and on an important turn where you're like where you're ready to do the damage. And Scroll of Righteous Smiting, I think, is certainly handy, especially if you're running any Screaming Skull Catapults.
Yeah, I feel like the Urgency Scroll is good. I think that's the low-key sleeper here. So I think this does make Tomb Kings a more effective army. As for cool, I agree with you. I think this feels like it feels kind of like a nothing burger in many ways. I can't necessarily hobby a scroll onto a unit. Maybe what I could do is write these on a bit of paper, and every time I use it successfully, I rip it up.
Yeah.
Done. Yeah. Maybe I can make that fun for myself and my opponent. I don't know, but okay. But let us know in the comments below. Is it cool? What's your answer? Is it strong? What's your answer? I think that's a good way to look at these things. Okay, so we need to actually go back up because
I put them in the wrong order.
That's okay. No, this is the order it comes in. No, this is.
Oh, is it?
You've done this right, yeah.
Oh, okay.
So much touted was the change to character mounts, which is not much of a change at all. If you're a Tomb King player, I think we could just add that you can take a Barded Skeletal Steed. I think that's the TLDR, right?
Such a bummer.
Yeah, that's it.
I think a lot of folks were expecting here, being able to ride a Necro Serpent.
Yep.
Which would have made a lot of sense. Would have opened up some really cool new things for the Tomb King and Tomb Prince or whomever they allowed on top of it. But maybe they thought that was too much. It also seems like a really obvious, like, easy kit bash. I mean, the Snake Surfers, as they are literally just glued on top and, like, riding them like a surfboard. So, like, it's not like a hard thing to do. So I don't know, a bit of a missed opportunity. I understand why people are probably disappointed because they've also mentioned a number of times that they're adding some character mounts. And
it was one.
It's a horse that goes with the that obviously goes with the new kit that they're releasing, which I think is nice. I know you were.
I love it. Yeah.
You were not too hot to trot on the skeletal steed itself.
Whoa, no, no. I think no. That's right. I think we all just need to get over the fact that horses
without meat on them is a bit weird. Yeah. But I think as far as skeletal steeds are concerned, they look quite good. I just wanted to say that. Is there anything that we're missing here?
No, that's
so we
it.
Just have
Barded Skeletal Steed. The whole page is replaced for the one in your Ravening Hordes book, which I think might annoy some people. You could always cut it out, I guess, and glue it in. Also, it is a Barded Skeletal Steed, so I guess you're getting a +1 save to to your characters, so maybe that opens up some options for you. That's that's it. So is it cool? I'm gonna go for no. And is it? And also, like you say, it's nowhere near as cool as it could have been. And then is it strong? I'm gonna say, I mean, being able to add +1 save to one of your characters and put them in some sort of cavalry bus could work out for this army. So that's what I'm gonna throw out there. As you are furiously cross-referencing.
Yes, I'm just making sure that we're not obviously missing anything here. So there's that change. Skeleton chariot. Is it really? Yeah, it really is just the barded guy there, and
that's it.
Yeah, it's literally just the barded skeleton escape. It's the only addition. Which also, considering that they add a unit out of nowhere, They didn't make that a new mount option.
Yeah, that's weird as well. Yeah, so can we say cool? Cool is no, but strong is a maybe. Stronger.
I guess maybe gives some. Yeah, I guess it's better than just putting a Tomb King on a skeletal steed. I'll give you that much. Yeah.
Okay, so now we introduce a kit bashed unit, the Winged Warsphinx, everybody. So to represent this in your game, Winged Warsphinx are represented by regular Warsphinx, assembled using the wings of a Necrosphinx in place of the usual Howdah and the Tomb Guard crew. So you actually lose the Tomb Guard crew on the Warsphinx. Which is, I think, nice, because if you do buy this box, it's a dual box, right? It's a dual kit. You have the wings for free. So you can maybe magnetize this and make something. So 180 points for a toughness 6, 5 wound monster that has heavy armor, and it also has a 6-up regen. It's movement 6, but it's got fly 9. And then it's close order. It's got counter charge, which is quite fun. It's indomitable too, so it might be tough to get rid of. It's a large target. It's Nekaharen. It's undead. It's got D3 stomp attacks versus D6. It's got swift stride, and it's of course got terror. For attacks, it's got only 4 attacks at strength 5 and weapon skill 4. You can include an Envenom Sting for +5 points, and you of course give it a Fiery Roar, which is a breath weapon. And the Envenom Sting is one of those classic strike first. No, but this isn't a strike first. Oh no, it is strike first, poison attack. One of your attacks could be this thing.
Yes.
So you're just comparing this to a Necrosphinx. You compare it, I think it's fair.
Yeah. Yes.
And it's nowhere near as good.
Yeah, it's 15 points less than a Necrosphinx.
Okay.
But decidedly not as good. Like, you're getting a lot of value for those 15 points on the Necrosphinx versus this. And then even versus just a regular Warsphinx, which unfortunately doesn't see a lot of play. I guess it is allowed to fly, but it does lose its Howdah, and the crew on top of it. Yeah, I don't really, I guess this was just something that they were like, okay, maybe people will have some extra bits and they can toss it together. I don't know if a lot of people are gonna be clamoring to build themselves some winged Warsphinxes. I don't quite get it.
We'll get to find out right now. So let's know in the comments, because is it cool? I'm gonna say off the bat, it's cool. Like, I think that's a fun additional thing you get the look of, especially if you like how the Warsphinx looks. I'm gonna say it's cool. But I think it's not strong. But it doesn't make the Tomb King stronger. Unless I'm wrong, let me know. What do you think?
Yeah, I don't know, but I would have rather, if they wanted a kit bash model, give me a monstrous mount for my Tomb King. Dang it! Give me a Necroserpent mount. That's what I would have rather liked. But beggars can't be choosers. I find this I don't really think this is adding genuinely anything. They already have the Necrosphinx, which is amazing, looks cool. And the Warsphinx itself doesn't really have a place. Could have also, by the way, been a great mount option, which I do not believe it is. And so, yeah, what is the... Oh, sorry. Cameron Warsphinx is a mount option. My mistake. So I misspoke there. But yeah, like, it just, I don't know if this really has a place. What's it doing? Maybe this is for people who are like playing in a situation where they need to power down a little bit. So you can just proxy your Necrosphinx as a winged Warsphinx, and then it's not quite as scary a model. Maybe that's what it's for.
Also, give me a Tomb King on Unushbati. Give me Master Blaster of the Tomb King world. That's what I want to see. Give me that mount option.
Just riding on his shoulders?
Yeah, just hanging out on top. Forward. That's what I want to see. All right, so that's everything from Tomb Kings. That's our kind of Tomb Kings run through and breakdown. Again, throw your 10 cents in what you're thinking about this. I mean, sometimes I feel like you can absolutely hand wave some of this stuff away. You can just be like, whatever. That's fair. But also, I don't know, it feels creative. It feels like there's a lot in there. And it also feels like, I don't really feel like they're wasting their time just writing nothing. I really don't feel that.
Someone's going to be like, oh, cool. Great. I'm not going to yuck anyone's yum. But like, as far as like, maybe people were just like, man, I wish I could make my warsphinx fly. Well, now you can, guys.
You can do it, bosses. Okay, so next up, we are going to be looking at the Renegade Crowns army list. Okay, so as we've said, this is the Empire version of the Bretonian Exiles. More Empire than Bretonia, but you've got a lot of cool stuff in here. You can do a lance, you can do a phalanx, which is very cool.
Phalanx is cool. Yeah.
I got to say, the art is great, and a special shout out for this page for our Ortega, the Don of the Red River, and the Prince Fredo Tordana, like army kit shots, which I think these are great. I thought you as an Empire guy, you were pretty pumped about these, right?
Well, yeah. I mean, as I think this is what's maybe hinting a little bit more at, Dogs of War. Again, they're heavily drawn from the sort of the Tilea Estalian aesthetics and region. And so here we go. We've got an Estalian fleshed out and a Tilean fleshed out here, which is pretty cool. And I think maybe is a harbinger of other things to come.
I think so as well. Even so, and you pointed out quite rightly, they even spent the time to paint a studio army of them.
Right?
What's going on there?
What is going on there? Like, so that's
a lot of time and money.
Yes, that is a lot of that is some significant, I think, investment on behalf of the studio to support the Renegade Crowns, because these guys are all in a custom colorway and scheme to sort of represent this army on the battlefield. I suspect we might see this heraldry again in the near future, when it's maybe fully done up as a different thing. But or maybe not. Maybe they're just like, whatever. Let's have a fun, cool looking army shot for this Army of Infamy.
I would like everyone to collectively right now lose their minds. I think that we need to just throw out there the rumors that this basically confirms those two factions emerging in the future. So just jump on that. All right. The Realms of Renegade Crowns army list. So let's have a look at this, shall we? And do you want to take us through what's actually in this roster?
One thing I want to shout out, and I don't know if it's on purpose or not, but so we know that the Bretonian Exiles is an Army of Infamy for Bretonia.
Correct.
And therefore can be taken as an ally to us guys personally don't use allies a lot, but I'm sure lots of folks out there do. So it's something that is actually meant to be paired with Bretonia as an army. This one does not appear to be an Empire of Man Army of Infamy, which is how it's been marketed. So I think JTY alluded to it in their almanac. And then also, I believe in the first teaser for this on Warhammer Community, they refer to it as an Empire Army of Infamy. But as much as I read over this, I don't see it as listed as a distinctly Empire Army of Infamy. So it's sort of it's a standalone thing. It's unto itself.
It is unto itself, as they are narratively unto themselves, which I think is quite fun. All right, so do you want to take us through what's in the roster?
Absolutely. So under characters, 50% as usual. It can be spent on 0 to 1 Renegade Prince per 1,000 points. And then we've got Renegade Captains and Outcast Wizards, and that is of the Kingdom of Bretonia fame. So that is their access to magic there. The Outcast Wizard, I think, maxes out at a level 3. Is that right?
I think so.
And so pretty limited choice selection there for characters.
Very limited. I don't know if there's a cavalry mounted Renegade Prince. That's a unit entry we're going to look at in a moment. And Renegade Captain, but I don't think that there's any sort of monstrous version. So you're either building infantry guys, or you're building yourself cavalry guys. So you're going very purist here.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yes, and by the way, an Outcast Wizard can get up to level 3, which in this day and age is all you need.
That's all you need. That's all you need. All right, so in the core, you can have up to 1 unit of veteran sellswords, which is again a unit entry in this roster. You can have Sellsword Infantry, a unit in this, Freeblade Knights, and Hireling Outriders. And then, so they've created a lot of units, although they are just basically Empire units, but maybe better. And then you have, you can also take Free Company Militia and Empire Archers from the Forces of Fantasy book. And Empire Archers is quite interesting, maybe. There's a character you can embed with them later, which is cool. And then for special, you get up to 30% of your army's points value maybe spent on veteran free blades, and then up to 2 Border Prince's mortars per 1,000 points. Yeah,
what might that do?
Oh, yes. What might that do? What's in rare?
Rare is the Border Prince's Brigands, also from Exiles. Those are the famous blunderbuss guys, so that's pretty fun. 0 to 1 War Machine chosen from the following list per 1,000 points, which is Border Prince's Organ Gun, which is a box standard dwarven organ gun. So it's not a Hellblaster, but it is similar. Border Prince's Bombard, which is from the Kingdom of Bretonnia Arcane Journal. That is the best cannon in the game, maybe tied with the Cathayan one, but a very brutal and very good cannon that never blows up and is deadly.
And you can have 2 in your list.
And you can have up to 2 of those in a list, yes.
Yeah. So you got some nice ranged poke. And then you can have mercenaries up to 33% of your army's points may be spent on mercenaries. And any Dogs of War from any arcane journal that has the Dogs of War rule, allowing it to be taken as mercenaries in 1 or more Grand Army composition lists. Note that mercenary units are subject to misbehavior mercenaries rule as described in the Warhammer rulebook. And then your BSB is a single Renegade Captain.
So that's kind of interesting. So any Dogs of War. So that would include the bad guy Dogs of War too.
It would. Yeah, any Dogs of War.
You can get the Bone Grinder in here.
Yep,
that's pretty cool.
No, dude, that's incredibly cool.
Yeah,
like yeah. If you want to especially again, you want to throw. It reminds me of the Empire Ogre. You know, the man-eater ogre. That was all kitted up. It just makes me feel like you just stick a couple of ruffles and a feather on the coolest, Dog of War unit that you want, and you make them Empire themed. I think that's pretty cool.
I think that is pretty cool.
Which is nice.
I fully agree with you.
For magic items, any models that have the option to purchase magic items may purchase common magic items only.
Okay. Yeah. So they just get your that's a good list of stuff. They're not getting demons tier, and it's the Renegade Captain that can be your BSB. Sweet.
I think the big news here is a bunch of different rosters, and you're able to take a bunch of cool Dogs of War units, and you're able to make them something funky, which is nice.
And also shout out core here. We're gonna see what the Freeblade Knights and Hireling Outriders are, but really neat that they are in core. So as far as playing match play games where you got to go get objectives and stuff, maybe you got some moves there.
Yeah. Okay, so you do get some Origins of the Infamous, which is all keyed to upgrades that you can give to your characters. So I think maybe we should look at the Origins first, and then look at maybe some of the impacts that we can have from the Origins, right? I think that kind of works, if that makes sense. So if we look at the Infamous Origins, we can see that the first one, the might of... to represent this, any Renegade Lords or Outcast Wizards within an army using the Renegade Crowns Army of Infamy list may have a single Infamous Origin chosen from those detailed on this page. So it's Renegade Lords or Outcast Wizards chosen on this page. Each Infamous Origin given to a character certain bonuses in the form of improved characteristics and additional special rules. In some cases, having a character with a particular Infamous Origin may grant additional benefits to other units in the same army, as described on the other page. So it would have been wonderful. Shout out to the page layout guys. If you could have just made these beasts next to each other, you open it up, that's on one side, that's on one side. Come on. Why do I have to cycle through 5 pages to get to it? That's insane.
And a bit of a shout across the bow of this layout guy, because I could have just done that. But
but you also can't have a dual. We could have, to be honest, but but to the actual book layout guy, just help us out 5%.
Cut us some slack here. Yeah.
Right. Do you want to take us through the might of Miraculano?
Miragliano.
Yeah.
25 points. A model with the might of Miragliano, infamous origin, has a +1 modifier to their leadership characteristic, gains the stubborn and Telean stoicism special rules. So that's pretty good for 25 points. Even just the stubborn rule is pretty good.
Yeah, and I think the Lord is leadership 8, so I'll take him up to a 9.
Pretty certain
he
gains
right.
Well, since we're asking, you're correct. He's right. He's right. All right. So Telean stoicism. Should a character with this special rule join a unit prior to making their first break test of the game, i.e., whilst stubborn, that unit gains the stubborn special rule. However, should the character leave a unit they have joined for any reason prior to making their first break test of the game, that unit immediately loses the stubborn special rule.
Okay. So confers stubborn. But so now we're going to leave this. We're going to leave this and we're going to jump up to the top.
All right.
Okay. And we are going to look at what we get for being the Miragliano. Okay. So you get the Mercenary Hosts special rule. For each character in your army that has the might of Miragliano, infamous origin, up to 0 to 1 units of Sellsword Infantry or veteran Sellsword Infantry may change its troop type to the heavy infantry and may have the phalanx special rule for +10 points per unit. What's lovely about that is that's not per model.
Thank goodness.
So yeah, that's. I mean, obviously +10 points. I mean, if it's not +1 point per model or something, it's like so. That's actually quite nice. So the phalanx special, a close order unit in which the majority of models have this special rule is considered to be in combat order rather than marching column, even if it's deeper than it is wide, provided it contains enough models per rank to claim a rank bonus. While such a unit is deeper than it is wide, it can claim a rank bonus and perform a charge move, but cannot march at triple its movement characteristic. In addition, should such a unit be charged by an enemy unit with the first charge special rule, it does not become disrupted. If a unit with a special rule wishes to adopt marching column and march at triple its movement characteristic, it must be deeper than it is wide and contain fewer models per rank than it requires to claim a rank bonus.
Very cool.
So do you want to talk me through that?
Well, we're breaking a taboo here, guys, because I believe the rules were written, I think, quite purposefully to eliminate a archetype of unit style from 8th edition fantasy, and maybe ones before that too, known as the bus.
The bus.
Where you have very narrow and deep units. And they got pretty ridiculous in that particular edition. But that's what we're doing here. So you can have a very narrow, deep unit that will hopefully be better at maintaining its rank bonuses. And yeah, that's I think what you're going for. So there might be some usefulness to this, especially if you're running sort of large units of not the best infantry, but nonetheless stuff that gets a lot of bonuses from the errata 1.5, which would be outnumber, and maybe some other ones too.
Yeah, and maybe some other ones too.
There you go, fight at 2 ranks. Yeah,
parry.
Yeah.
This is cool. I think, and I think especially with the strength now of these big blocks of infantry that we're seeing, if you're playing with lots of objectives, then I mean, even if you're not, but like I think even if you are, like this is going to be a real problem. And the problem is, though, is you're giving a big bonus to humans, and they're not the strongest in the game.
This is true. And also, because it's not an Empire army, you don't get access to things like the Griffin Standard, which I think immediately would have been so like really, really, really nice with something like Phalanx. But nonetheless, I think it's a cool rule, especially since infantry has been sort of buffed. We didn't mention it actually when we were doing the Tomb King the scrolls, but one thing I did notice on the Vortex was that it was written using the sort of the way that vortexes have been errated to be written, like so that if they either move over or someone moves through them, wording, the fact that it's difficult, not dangerous. So this book feels like it was at least influenced by the most recent errata, which is unlike the Cathay Arcane Journal and the Cathay Grand Army book.
Yeah, so we might starting to be see imprint versions of maybe what the modern game they consider to be is.
Bingo. Yes, I think so.
Okay, all right, so that's pretty fun. Then we got the next Infamous Origin, which is the Renegade Knight. For 25 points, a model with the Renegade Knight Infamous Origin has +1 modifier to their weapon skill and strength characteristic. May purchase magic items from the Kingdom of Bretonia magic item list in Forces of Fantasy and gains the Noble Disdain. Oh, and Arcane Journal Kingdom of Bretonia. Sorry, I should point that out. And gains the Noble Disdain and Veteran special rules, where a model with a special rule Disdain is a model with a special rule whose troop type is cavalry does not have to make a panic test when a friendly unit whose troop type is infantry is destroyed whilst within 6 inches of it, or when it's fled through by a friendly unit whose troop type is infantry. So I wouldn't say that that's going to have the most impactful. I don't think that's going to have the most impactful.
I do think that that's a nice ludonarrative representation of disdain in rules mechanics. I appreciate that.
I agree with you 100%. But as well as having that, though, you also gain the Outcast Knights. You want to take us through that?
Absolutely. For each character in your army that has the Renegade Knight Infamous Origin, 0-1 unit of Freeblade Knights or veteran Freeblade Knights may have the Lance Formation and the Noble Disdain special rules for 2 points per model.
That's right, chat. There's more lances potentially on the board for you to ask if they're in a lance. Do you?
Why am I in a lance? Everybody gets to hit me. Okay.
Do I have a flank? Anyway, that's pretty cool though, because now you can have Empire Knights in a lance formation, plus 2 points per model. And is it fair to say that right now cavalry is in kind of weird place in the game generally?
I think so. I guess just the types of cavalry probably have varying degrees of usefulness. We'll have to see what these Freeblade Knights or veteran Freeblade Knights look like when we get to them. But yeah, Cav still has its very, very long ranging charge threat. Yeah, threat range. There you go. But is facing a lot more attacks coming at it if it's going into infantry. So we'll have to see.
All right. Do you want to take us through the next origin?
Certainly. Oh, wait a minute. No, I just read. But I can do it.
Did you? Oh, no. Okay, well, I'll do it. The Noble Outlaw. I don't know how we swapped. The Noble Outlaw is 20 points. And a model with this Noble Outlaw Infamous Origin has +1 modifier to their ballistic skill and leadership characteristic. Gains the Hold the Line special rule. See the Forces of Fantasy. May purchase magic items from the Empire of Man item list in Forces of Fantasy and can take a range of different weapon options for long-range weapons, and may take one of the following special rules: ambushes or scouts. So potentially, a character you could put in with some of your archers if you wanted to, for some insane reason. you wanted to have them in there. So that's what you get, and then let's just have a look at what this is going to bring to your army, shall we? Because you get the Outlaw and the Renegade.
Absolutely. So we got the Outlaw. Is for each character in your army that has the Noble Outlaw Infamous Origin, 0-1 unit of Hireling Outriders may have the Ambusher special rule for 1 point per model. That one's a little interesting for sure.
And they're just pistoliers, right? Kind of.
They can be equipped with a brace of pistols. They don't get repeater rifles, unfortunately, but they are a better version of pistoliers. I don't think they're impetuous. So yeah.
Okay, and then our last Infamous Origin is the Wandering Diestro for 20 points. A model of this Wandering Diestro Infamous Origin has +2 modifier to their weapon skill characteristics, pretty decent. Gains Feint and Dodge special rule, which is once per game, when an enemy model directs its attacks against a model with this special rule, you...
What?
Okay, once per game, when an enemy model directs its attacks against a model with a special rule, you... ...
Just make up a rule. Make up a rule, guys. It's dealer's choice. You can do whatever you want.
That's actually so funny that it's on a rule called Feint and Dodge. It's like, with a special rule, I'm not going to fucking tell you. Yeah, a bit of a misprint. Hopefully we'll get the FAQ soon. We don't know what you get.
We don't know. This is maybe they were trying to prevent it from being spoiled, so they just didn't print it.
I like that maybe you open an envelope. They're like if you buy, like with the physical copy of the book, there's an envelope, you open it, and it's like you get reroll ones to hit. I don't know.
Yeah, reroll ones to something. I don't know. Hopefully it's cool. The Wandering Duelist is what happens when each character in your army that has the Wandering Diestro infamous origin, 0 to 1 unit of Border Prince's Brigands, they have a +1 modifier to their weapon skill characteristics for 2 points per model. In addition, once per game, models with this unit may make enemy models that direct their attacks against them during the combat phase reroll successful rolls to hit. If I have to make a guess.
Yeah. If I had to make a guess, yeah.
That's what Feign Dodge does.
I agree. So once per game, models with special rule may make enemy units reroll their to hit against them. I mean, that's not bad.
That feels not bad.
Like you got plus your weapon skill. Like you can make pretty great infantry blocks from this roster, especially with. Can you do this on veterans?
You do this on the Brigands.
Okay.
It is the Border Prince's Brigands, but the Border Prince's Brigands have some sort of neat things. Now, this is a unit that usually has usually rolls with blunderbusses, and I think they can be skirmishers, and they can also be given ambushers or scouts. So I don't know. Maybe this could be a fun unit to go hunting. Like a baggage train, the cabbages. Go get some cabbages. Go fight some war machines. Maybe. I don't know. Maybe there's something fun that you could do here. Or you could just, keep them with their blunderbusses and then give them a little bit extra weapon skill. So that way, I don't know. I'm just spitballing here, guys. But I mean, a Brigand is only 4 points base. So
okay, so
you can build them up from there.
Before we look at the units, I think let's recap because I think it's super worth it. This is an Empire army, which effectively allows you to do a phalanx, completely new type of kind of profile. Also take the very unique, lance formation. I think that's super cool.
That's fun.
I think
gives it an identity for sure.
For sure. I think that's really, really fun. As well as obviously talking about the mercenary things we can take.
Mm-hmm.
So now we get to look at our units, and we get the Renegade Lord up first. It's pretty cheap at 75 points. He's also strength and toughness 4 with 3 wounds. Weapon skill 6, so +1 weapon skill on that starts taking you to the 7 category, which is, I think you actually get +2, I think, if you potentially. Anyway, either way. But you just got 3 attacks and 2 attacks on the Renegade Captain. Now you can kit these bad boys up with a ton of stuff. Great. Yes. They start out with hand weapon, light armor, but you can obviously have full plate, which is good. You can take a shield. You can take a bunch of different range weapons, pistols, brace of pistols. You can have great weapons, halberds, lances, if appropriate, Morningstar. And then you can have 100 points of magic items on a prince. And then you can be mounted on a barded warhorse. As base, though, comes with Rallying Cry, Veteran, and Warband. So you can easily have a 2-up save prince, but you can also have a 2-up save captain, I think. 35 points. It's going to take you, full plate is going to take you up to 41. A shield's going to take you up to 43. And then your barded warhorse is going to add 16. So 69 points. Nice. For a 2-up save dude running around. It's kind of interesting.
Yeah, sure. I think in these builds, at the very least, like there's so many fun things you can put on him. Like you could also just give that guy a brace of pistols for some reason.
Yeah.
So he's got a bunch of shooting attacks. There's you can basically make a character fit any of the unit options that you have.
Yeah.
And that I think is not boring and it's fun. I really like it. And then combined with the magic items in the main rulebook. Be interested to see if there's anything that you can really whip up with this guy to be interesting. The biggest downside is doesn't have a Pegasus. Doesn't have there's no like mount that will get him able to move around a little bit more effectively, which is a little too bad. Yeah,
you're not necessarily going to tussle with some. I mean, you do have a couple of bombards in your army to maybe deal with some more bigger threats. Maybe it worked better in slightly smaller point games, but you can have a ton of characters with
this is a great army for 4A for sure. Like you got lots of fun stuff for building that, like almost like a Mordheim style warband kind of thing going on.
Absolutely. You could add, this is kind of a kit basher's army builder's dream, I think. So, but that's the Renegade Lord. He's just a human with a ton of weapon options. It's also worth pointing out, you obviously can also have the Outcast Wizard as well. So you've got options for lots of different spell lords that you can bring into your army. As well.
Yes. Yeah. So that would give this access to battle magic, demonology, dark magic, elementalism, illusion, necromancy. And then they can be mounted on a war horse only, but and be up to a level 3 wizard. And then unfortunately they do suffer a little extra from miscasts, but otherwise just perfectly competent wizard. Starting at 45 points. So like you got access to a lot of like demonology is a great way to buff up your sort of normal dudes that make up the army here, your humans. Yeah, there might be some good ways to layer in magic here because again, a level 3 caster is pretty useful, and because it's taken from the Bretonian list. I would think that it's able to access the Bretonian arcane items, magic items.
Yeah, absolutely. I'd say so.
That's the way it used to work. I don't know if any models that have the option to purchase magic items may purchase common magic items overrides that, but I think in general, they say that wherever you're taken from, so whatever book you're taken from, you're allowed to use the items from there. Correct me if I'm wrong in the comments.
All right, well, so now we're going to move on to, I think this unit's got you a little interested at least, Sellsword Infantry. Do you want to take us through this?
All my Empire homies out there, get ready. I think in general, Renegade Crowns, if you just want to run your like the box art version of an Empire army from 6th edition, this is the better way to do it. So like your cavalry, your horses, your guys with pointy things, your cannons, this is the army to do it with because we're going to learn a few things here. So, Sellsword Infantry, your basic infantry is 4 points a model base. They have a human stat line, so that's weapon skill, bliss skill 3, strength 3, toughness 3, 1 attack, initiative 3, leadership 5 is pretty low. However, they all have close order. They have detachment, they have horde, they have regimental unit, and they have warband. So, warband is a really, really, really good rule that allows you to add a pip of leadership for each rank bonus that you have. And then, of course, they have Horde, so they get an additional rank bonus versus regular infantry. So that does, raise the potential leadership of this unit with an officer to 9, which is pretty awesome. So yeah, love to see that. They can be equipped with either thrusting spears, halberds, great weapons, crossbows, or handguns, which is cool. So you have you can really build a bear here. The entire unit may take shields, and they can also have heavy armor for 2 points per model.
Yes.
So shields and heavy armor gets them to 7 points a model, which is I think the same cost as a halberdier.
But that's going to be a 4-up save from shooting, but a 3-up save when they get charged, right? Like that's cheap amount of wounds on a 3-up armor save.
That is correct. So that's pretty interesting. And obviously, I mean, you could go the great weapons way, but I think obviously you might just keep them cheap, or you build them however the hell you want. They're fun dudes. Any unit obviously can have the full command, and then unit of veteran sellswords. By the way, what are veterans? Veterans essentially just get you an extra weapon skill, like a bonus to weapon skill. So they can have a magic standard up to 50 points. They can have full plate armor, which is interesting, for 4 points a model. They can also have drilled for 1 point a model. And the veteran officer can also take some magic items up to 25 points. They also gain some additional rules. So they have close order, detachment, horde, regimental unit, warband, and veteran. So veteran also a handy thing for rerolling stuff. So yeah, I think here is like, this would be great if this was just the sheet for Empire State Troops. One only downside I can see for having like such a diverse amount of, basically that's every infantry option from Empire on one sheet. And if you're using the match play guide sort of unit restrictions, you're allowed to bring 4 of one particular unit selection. So like if you wanted to have lots of archer, like lots of like handgunners and crossbowmen and halberds and spears and all that, you get 4, right? It's the same issue that the orcs run into with their orc boys unit entry. So overall, though, I think that, I mean, if you're a fan of Empire State Troops, this is here they are. This is a better version of them.
Yeah, absolutely. I also like the idea that like the infantry that's fighting in the borderlands, that's constantly at war, is maybe a little bit better than the scrappy lads that they've picked up cabbage farming from the state troops. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like they're not frontline guys. I mean, I don't think that's the reason that we see the disparity. I'm just making that up for myself.
I get it. And also in my head canon too, I'm thinking to myself, maybe the poor status of Empire State Troops and their expensiveness relates to the poor status and situation that the Empire finds itself in. Yeah. They are distracted and divided. So, maybe they're not as good at training up their troops.
Yeah. Well, maybe they're just having economic problems. Everything's just more expensive a little bit.
They also have a cost of living crisis going on.
All right. Okay. So, we got Freeblade Knights now. So Freeblade Knights is basically exactly the same. It's a sheet that lets you do absolutely everything. They're very expensive. A veteran Freeblade Knight is 22 points for a 1-wound dude, but you are obviously also able to take barded war horses. You have the regular knights have got close order, counter charge, first charge, swift stride. The veteran Freeblades have got close order, counter charge, first charge, swift stride, and veteran, obviously. And then you can have lances, great weapons, shields. You can have full command. You can have barded war horses for 3 points a model, and then any unit of veteran sword knights may replace their heavy armor with full plate, and they can purchase a magic standard worth up to 50 points. So you can have like 2 up armor save dudes running around all over the place if you want. It's just going to cost you a ton of points to do it if you wish. But they will and can also be in a lance formation, potentially. So if that's something that tickles your pickle, then you're in a good spot. For me personally, and also like Val said, actually your roster starts getting a bit thin because everything's on one sheet.
One thing I would point out here that is just like from base. So if you wanted to build an Empire Knight out of Freeblade Knights, they're 2 points cheaper.
Yes. Oh, if you want to build Empire Knights.
Yeah, if you just want an Empire Knight, so like because it comes with a barded warhorse. No, it does not.
No,
you have to upgrade your horse to a barded warhorse. I assume.
Yeah, for 3 points.
Okay, so they're more expensive then. Never mind, they're 1 point more expensive.
The Empire Knights are more expensive.
The Freeblade Knights, so they basically to get you the exact same stats as an Empire Knight, like the equivalent unit to a Freeblade Knight, would be 22 points with the lance. And then these guys would be 23 points with the lance because they have the you have to pay for the barding on the warhorse. So they are a little bit more expensive than your standard Empire Knight.
And again, this makes sense because you're in the borderlands. You don't have, there's limited infrastructure for getting the armor that you need to the front lines.
Getting back to logistics issues, right? I mean, it all comes back to, like, who do you know? Do you have a very fancy armorer? I mean, barding is... I don't know how they put armor on horses. Yeah. Probably complicated.
Yeah, you need supply lines. You need coal coming in. I don't know. I don't know whatever slag is, but that's like the stuff that gets used in smelting. I'm not sure.
Coke. I think there's coke involved somehow.
Yeah. Not the brothers, we hope.
I think that's KOCH.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Anyway, next unit.
Unbassed.
So unbassed.
Perhaps the most unbassed. But at the same time, you can build a Bretonnian Knight that has a 2-up save.
Yes.
Which is kind of fun.
Yes. That's cool.
Because obviously they aren't allowed to have barding for whatever reason. No, they aren't allowed to have full plate. That's what their problem is. Yeah. So yeah, it gets real expensive though. So if you wanted to really tune up one of these guys, you're getting into like chosen levels of like cost. You're into the 30s, I think.
But you are not getting chosen level output.
Yeah, you're not. So again, I think this one feels like more of a for funsies thing, and I'm probably more interested in the hireling outriders personally.
All right, so do you want to take us through this?
For sure. Hireling Outriders. So we've got a human stat line. They are base 11 points per model. They're light cavalry. Unit size is 5+. They have come with just hand weapons and a horse. So they're naked babes. And then the entire unit may take one of the following. They can take cavalry spears, short bows, pistols, or brace of pistols. And they may have either light or heavy armor, which is pretty cool. The entire unit may also take shields. Any unit they can also have a full command. And then where it gets interesting is 0 to 1 per 1,000 points, can have feigned flight. They may have the reserve move. They can have the vanguard move. And they can purchase a magic standard up to 50 points. Feigned flight is 2 points per model. And reserve and vanguard are +1 point per model. Their basic rules that they come with are fast cavalry, fire and flee, open order, skirmishers, and swift stride. So this is the second better than Pistolier unit available. And I don't know why. This just scratches my itch, just like the Road Wardens did. I really love the concept of a unit of like handgun and light cavalry. Yeah, it's fun to me, and I like. So these are the opposing force to the Road Wardens, I guess. These are the robbers.
Yeah, the robbers. Yeah, Road Wardens was. I mean, you can play a fun game there. Someone builds a whole robber hireling outrider unit. The other person builds a whole Road Wardens army, and then you do a battle.
Oh, yeah, a little duel.
And now we have road rules. There's well-maintained roads. You can have the narrative battle of your dreams.
Hundo P. Didn't even put that together. But yes, we can have a real contentious toll booth fiasco as a special feature.
The battle of the M42. That's great. Okay, we also have Border Prince's organ gun, which is just an organ gun, and a Border Prince's mortar, which is just a mortar. 90 points and 125 points, respectively. There is something quite clearly lacking from this army roster, which we have not talked about, and that is that there is no engineer.
True.
So these war machines, by way and extension, are kind of worse in that you can't obviously improve how effective they are. So that's something to be conscious of.
The good news is that the Border Prince's Bombard, which they have access to, right? I'm not hallucinating that. It's a Border Prince's Bombard they get, right?
They do get that.
Yes. So the Border Prince's Bombard is toughness 7. It's got 3 wounds, and then it's if you don't know this, the misfire table is very permissive. So really, it can only blow itself up on a 1, and basically you have to roll pretty bad in order for it to not be able to shoot at all in the next turn. It's probably the best misfire table in the game. It's great. But the Bombard, for whatever reason, is super legit, and they get to use it. So don't worry too much about your mortars and your organ guns unless you're really excited to use them, because you got 2 Bombards you can throw back there.
So that's everything.
I guess you could also bring mortars, because the mortars are in the special slots. So you can have mortars and Bombards if you want it.
Okay, so that's everything from the Rebel Crowns army list.
Renegade. By the way, we haven't even said that, like, confirmed. GW approves of Renegades.
Thanks, G-Dubs. Thanks for the shout.
This is clearly a subtle nod to our efforts to keep the legacy factions alive.
Shout out, guys. We appreciate you all. So, okay, the review time, chat, and everyone watching and watching the comments. Okay, is it cool? Is this cool, Val?
Yes, I would say so. I would say, like, if I think there's a lot of people out there who just want to play, again, like that sort of box art Empire army. And I think this is a much better version of that box art Empire army. You're going to have much more reliable troops. They're probably going to be cheaper. You have access to a lot of the fun things you want to have access to, both cavalry as heavy as you want it to be. You've got access to enough magic. The only thing you're missing are monsters, which is a big deal in this game. But at the same time, you have the ability to, like, really flood the board with stuff. You've got a new formation to work with and see if you can figure out something cool to do with it in the phalanx. I like the fact that, you can upgrade these characters 25 points to give, in some cases, some pretty interesting buffs. You got to have access to brigands, which are a fun unit. I don't know. There's just so many things here that I think is great to be able to lean into.
And I think the idea that you can like add those 25 points onto those characters and kind of like build that story yourself for each unit, and then it brings these kind of army-wide upgrades, I think is really cool. I think that's some really nice like open A design, which I think is quite fun. So I like that. I think that's really fun. I think the units themselves, you get a lot of opportunity to kit bash and put together. I think that's really cool as well. I think also if you were to put an army together, theme it, and make it look really nice, and then for some reason in the next edition this army roster wasn't available, it's still usable as an Empire army, so you've lost nothing, I'm pretty certain. So so I think that's okay as well. So I don't think you're in a bad boat there. So yeah, overall I think it's really good. I think it's really creative and really, really fun. And can seem a little bit like, I guess also this is easy to hand wave away as well, because it's like, oh, it's just another Empire army. It's just Empire again. Like, which is fair. I guess that's fair.
Empire and Bretonia, and also the fun, like a lot of the most fun Border Princes units are in here. One thing that I just noticed, because I said that it's kind of a bummer that you can't get Empire magic items, but I realized that the Outlaw and the Renegade guy, he gets access to Empire magic items. So you can make your BSB an Outlaw and Renegade and give him a really, really good banner, and then and slot him into a Phalanx, which would be totally cool. So yeah, there's lots of cool build options here, and I think creative people will be able to find and make, maybe a competent army out of these pieces. I think that's not impossible.
Do you think?
I don't think it's strong, but it doesn't strike me as an army that will just lose to everything. Is it going to be 4-1-ing or 5-0-ing tournaments across the world? No, but I think there's enough here to make for, I don't know, an intro. Like I could go into my cabinet right now and whip up a totally different army that I couldn't build before out of these pieces. So that's cool.
And have to get yourself a Lance tray. I know you already probably have one, but
probably not going to use Lance. Again, in the comments, tell me why you would use a Lance formation these days. I don't know why.
Very fair. Okay, so with Empire over, we move into the Warriors of Grimnir, the Slayer army. Everybody,
we even talk about that? Yes, we did. We talked about this in the intro. Sorry.
Yeah, we talked about it in the intro for sure. All the way, a special shout out. And now again, got to remember that several of the arcane journals early in the edition showcased art and little things that later became models. Normally because the process is that they create these things as they're doing the models and sculpting, which can take a while. That's why I'm going to shout out. You can see up here the troll banners and art that we see here, and also it's the second kind of like Slayer army thing that we've seen. So it feels like someone in the studio is cooking up on Slayers. They're like, hey, give me more Slayer stuff.
Can you imagine a plastic box set that would sell more models for them than like a new Slayer kit? I can't. Regardless of how good or bad Slayers actually are.
I think they're very popular. They're very cool. Everyone loves a
who doesn't love the
Ginger lad with 2 axes for sure.
Right? Come on, they're cool.
Okay, so let's have a look at what's in the army composition list, if that's all right with everybody. Army of Infamy Slayer list has Ungrim Iron Fist, Slayer of Kings in here, and you can have up to 1 Demon Slayer per 1,000 points, and up to 2 Dragon Slayers per unit of Slayers taken. And this is up to 50 points. There's actually a special rule around Ungrim as well, which we'll cover in a moment if he's in your army. Then core. And I laughed at this when I first looked at it. At least 20% of your army's points, so lower than normal. Only 20% of your army's points value must be spent on Slayers. So
I don't think we've ever seen a lower than 25% core.
I don't think we have either.
Getting wild out there.
Get wild out there. Also good because Slayers very expensive and very naked.
Yes.
Yeah. I guess a Slayer is kind of like, what if you're a wood elf with no armor? But you can't hide in the woods, and you can't shoot at long range, and you're incredibly slow.
Just walking in mud at all times. Yeah. But not that slow, because they do get something that was surprised me.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Special units, you get up to 1 unit of Brotherhood of Grimnir, which is a new unit we'll look at, and up to 0 to 4 Doomseekers per Demon Slayer or Dragon Slayer taken. Doomseeker is also super fun. And up to 25% of your army's points values are spent on a Goblin Hooer per 1,000 points, a Dwarf Cart per 1,000 points, but don't be a bastard, because not including miners carts. Okay, don't try and cheat the system and have a miners cart. It's only a dwarf cart.
But the dwarf cart still that still lets them get wasted, right, and run faster.
Correct.
Okay, good.
I just don't want to see anyone out there trying to take miners carts. That's outrageous.
Okay. Yes, we don't want them checking bombs.
And if your army includes Ungrim, 0 to 1 unit of hammerers may be included as a rare choice.
Interesting.
And I like the idea of hammerers, but you just stick a Slayer's head on it. That looked cool. Mercenaries, up to 20% of your army's points may be spent on a ranger unit as well. Note that mercenaries are still subject to misbehaving as well. And last little bits, a single Dragon Slayer in your army may be upgraded to a Battle Standard Bearer for 25 points. That's runic items, any model that have the options to purchase runes may do so, as described on page 32 of the Force of Fantasy. And runic tattoos, any model that has the option to purchase them can also purchase them via the Arcane Journal Dwarfen Mountain Holds.
Nice.
Happy with that?
I am.
Happy with that. Okay. So it's Slayers, just regular Slayers. Okay.
Yeah, and you know, they're only 12 to 19 points per model.
Per wound.
Per wound.
Fully armored, I assume?
Naked. But maybe there's some rules. Maybe the Slayers get some buffs from their army special rules here, Rob.
I hope the special rule is they are greased up and dancing, because that's what they need.
Greasy Slayers only.
All right, do you want to take us through the first one?
Yeah, from the wilds. 0 to 1 unit of Slayers with a unit strength of 10 or less in a Slayer host army of Infamy may have the Ambushers and Skirmishers special rule for 1 point per model.
Good. I want both of those. I want as many of my guys not on the board as possible. When they arrive on the board, that's where I think I'm really going to start having a problem with the lads.
That's true. And also, again, Ambusher went from like the most useless, most redundant rule to being quite handy, I think, in the current in the match play missions.
Smash them cabbages.
You can go smash them cabbages. So this gives you, like, I guess the Wolves of the Sea Berserker style unit that can just sort of pop up, but you're only allowed 1 of them.
And also it has to be unit strength 10 or less.
Yeah, it's very small, and also you pay a point for it. I think that restricted, you could have at least made it free, but that's okay, guys. Yes. As ambushing group of angry bearded dudes who also don't have to be on the table dying, you could hide like almost 200 points, probably more than 200 points of your core off the table with that rule. So that's pretty good.
Please don't tell me that 9 dudes is 200 points. Okay, now the next rule.
10 dudes, well, at 19 points a model, and then you give them an additional hand weapon. They're up to 20 points a model.
Okay. All right, look, Snorri Trolls is the next rule. Surrounded by their fellow Slayers, find it hard to resist the urge to close in with the enemy as soon as they can. After deployment, but before deploying scouts or making army vanguard moves, all units of Slayers and Brotherhood of Grimnir within a Slayer host army of Infamy may make a look Snorri, it's Trolls move. A unit making a look Snorri Trolls move, I really don't feel like they had to write it twice. They just wanted to. Moves, D3 inches +1, as described in the basic movement rules. It may maneuver normally, but cannot march, roll separately for each eligible unit. So that is going to be a 2 to 4 inch move, which dwarf players will tell you is massive.
Just lightning speed, these guys.
Lightning speed. And as you pointed out, this also doesn't include any other moves that you might be able to make early on.
I believe there are runes that let you Vanguard, which is a blistering 3 inches for a dwarf. So yeah, but you can get noticeably up the table with this plus some runic support, I think.
Which is really valuable, because I don't know if I've pointed this out yet. You are naked.
You're naked, but how naked? We still don't have words. Okay, so I'll go to Troll Hunters. 0 to 1 character.
It's good leading, though.
0 to 1 character per 1,000 points in a Slayer host army of Infamy, not including Ungrim Iron Fist, may have the Scout special rule for 10 points per model.
Good.
So that's fun. That's fun because that means that you can take your like slobbering, insane murder missile for 10 points and place him somewhere real close that he can just run in and go try and fight something.
He needs to be really close.
I like that 0-1 character. I don't know if that's something that what are the Doom Seekers?
Yeah,
I don't know if Doom Seekers can normally scout or have access to it somehow, but that feels pretty good in a Doom Seeker.
Then we have the Wards of Grimnir. Any unit in a Slayer host army, Army of Infamy, that includes a standard bearer may purchase a Ward of Grimnir for +1 point per model. That's what we need, more expensive. A unit with the Wards of Grimnir has a +6+ ward save against any wounds suffered during the shooting phase that were caused by non-magical enemy attacks. Now, in the business, I call this a triple stippy. Trip stip. So 3 stipulations. You got to spend no, it's a quad stippy. I need to have a banner. I got to spend points. It's got to be in the shooting phase, and they got to be non-magical. And at that point, I get to roll a 6. So I'm much more pumped about the Look Snorri Trolls rule.
Just give everyone a 6+ ward save for free. Everything against everything, guys. Just do that.
Yeah,
just do that.
If you're playing a full Slayer army and you want to just have a 6+ ward save on every dude, I'm okay with it. Yeah, we're saying you can. Just go for it. Yeah,
it's yours.
That's what Wards of Grimnir actually says. We just rewrited that one.
All year, the TSN and all square-based opens after this one, fully guaranteed, no doubt.
No doubt.
Anyway. Worst among equals. If your army includes Ungrim Iron Fist, he must be your general. If not, you must nominate a Demon Slayer or Dragon Slayer to act as your general, even though the loner special rule would normally prevent this.
Correct.
However, to reflect that Slayers make poor leaders. To reflect that Slayers make poor leaders, a Dragon Slayer or Demon Slayer that is the general of a Slayer host does not gain the Inspiring Presence special rule, which sounds like a bummer, but they're all leadership 10, so who cares?
It does sound like a bummer, yeah. They are, they're very tough.
And they all have really high leadership. It's not a big deal.
Note that if the general of the Slayer host Army Infamy bears the rune of Dishonor runic tattoo, the enemy player can win the bonus victory points for slaying them as normal. So you can't even protect the bonus points for the general kill for that. Okay. Let's just look at the next unit, and then I think we can kind of run through the whole thing, because the last unit is the only unit actually that you get as an addition for the Slayer army is the Brotherhood of Grimnir.
Yes.
Yeah, big beefy regular infantry unit that just starts out with hand weapons. Just starts out with that. They're 18 points a model at toughness 4. Now they do have 2 attacks each at weapon skill 5 and strength 4. So obviously that's fantastic. Yes. And for 1 additional point per model, you've got an additional hand weapon. So you're talking about 3 attacks a dude. That's crazy.
Pretty good.
We're not mad about that, okay, at all. Now let's talk about the special rules. We've got the Blessings of Grimnir, which we'll talk about in a second. Close Order, Death Blow, Gromral Weapons, Hatred against Orcs and Goblins, so they are racist. Immune to Psychology, Loner, Magic Res 2, Motley Crew, Resolute, Slayer, and they are unbreakable. Slayer is the rule that you'll all know already. When this model makes a to wound roll of a 4+, is always successful regardless of the target's toughness. So if this unit is getting into combat, they're striking at weapon skill 5, and regardless of anything else, they're wounding on a 4. So actually, that poses a significant threat to some stuff.
Yes, and did they get Gromral weapons? They do. Does that give them AP?
That gives them either AP or reroll 1s, one of the 2. We'll look it up for now. While we look it up, I'm just going to take you through the Blessings of Grimnir. A model of this special rule may be nominated. It gives you AP 1. Great. And a model of this special rule may be nominated to attempt a wizardly dispel. This is the Blessing of Grimnir, as if it were a wizard. However, unlike regular wizards, a Shrine Keeper does not have a level of wizardry. Their dispel range or modified their dispel rolls. Instead, a Shrine Keeper has a dispel range of 24 inches and applies a +1 modifier to their dispel rolls. So you can dispel with one of these guys as well. And then lastly, you can have a full command. A Shrine Keeper can have a single runic tattoo. With the points cost varies. Weapon rooms up to 50 points and talismanic rooms up to 50 points as well. So this unit is going to be so expensive, and they are going to get murdered in droves.
Maybe there might be ways to like, because with their special standard, there might be ways to make them a little more defensible. At stuff. There might be ways to juice this unit at 18 points, just base. So you don't want to give them the double hand weapon, probably just because you lose your AP. Maybe you do just for fun. I don't know. But that makes them cheaper than Giant Slayers. And just looking at things here. It's hard for me to tell what the exact differences are in the comments. Perhaps you can tell us what makes these guys different from Giant Slayers as far as their benefits. Obviously, the Blessings of Grimnir is a great thing because they don't have access to runesmiths. So yeah, I don't think this unit is complete junk.
I don't think it is either. I think if you can get it into combat, it's going to be having a great time. I love what the Shrine Keeper brings. I think that the fact that you can combo up the Shrine Keeper with weapon runes and talismanic runes, and also a single runic tattoo. I think you've got a lot of options here to really build up these units, especially in not in MSU, but in multiple units at least. I think there's something interesting there, but they just feel fragile and expensive. And they're not really keying in with what infantry seem to be doing since the MPG, which is having a good armor save, standing near an objective, and being an anvil in the army. These are a hammer in the army or an axe. They're just so naked.
Yes, they are. They are. There's no way to hide from that. It's not like there's a lot of shooting out there right now. Like, I mean. But I think fundamentally, though, like, is this a fun way to bring a butt ton of Slayers? And also, because of how many Doom Seekers you can bring, so it's 0 to 4 per Demon Slayer or Dragon Slayer, you could just run, your bricks of Slayers that you have to take as Doom Seeker delivery mechanisms. I'm pretty sure Doom Seeker can join a Slayer unit because they're both loner. Correct me if I'm wrong. So that's pretty potent. You also do get some of that points denial stuff going on. So like if those Doom Seekers die, the opponent doesn't get the points from them. And so I think there's maybe enough stuff. There's maybe enough stuff here to make a little stew out of it. You can also bring mercenaries. 20% of your list can be mercenaries. So that opens up more opportunity for Doom Seekers, I think. So basically, this could just be the most amount of Doom Seekers you've ever seen in your life. Or you could not be a jerk like me and try and make it somehow powerful and embrace what it actually is, which is a great opportunity, for a lot of Slayers in every game to fulfill their oath.
Yes. That's what I thought. I was like, they should be dying. Like, if they're not dying, what are they doing? That's the real question.
They're pissed about it.
Yeah. So cool. So final part is the Slayers Army of Infamy cool, and is it strong? What do you reckon?
It is undoubtedly cool. It's questionably strong. Although I have seen people try to make Slayers work and having at least some success with it. It's not like the other dwarf options are really going crazy out there, unless you are a fetishist for gyrocopters right now. So I think it's undoubtedly a cool list and has enough stuff there to be of some interest. I'm glad that they weren't super restrictive with runes and talismanic tattoos and things like that. Like, you can just try and pile on all the benefits and things that you can figure out to do. And of course, Yumgrim is available, and that's probably the best model in the new range, in my opinion. He's so badass looking. I
mean, the shield, the dwarf on shield bearer is also great.
He's pretty cool, but Ungrim is a really cool dude. I think this could potentially be a ton of fun.
I agree. Actually, of the three things, I think it's the one I'm most excited about, but it's also the one I'm most ready to be hurt about. I think it's very cool, and I love it to pieces. I think it's great. I think you can all just have a 6-up ward save. That's okay. Okay. What do you think? And again, let us know what you think below. What do you think of the book as a whole, now that we've looked at it? What do you think about this first Arcane Journal that hasn't had a specific, army? It's been a little bit of everything. What do you reckon?
I mean, versus like what we saw in the second Cathayan journal, I think there's more to this one at least. That seems fun. I think it allows people to maybe not quite as good as the best arcane journals be excited to like build a new thing. But again, there's gonna be lots of people out there who are really excited to do stuff with Slayers. Go for it. By the way, both these army lists, if you want to use them at Square Based Open Toronto on October 18th and 19th, go for it. We'll definitely, it won't be out yet officially by then, but I don't see any reason not to allow them. And I think fundamentally the Renegade Crowns list just allows someone who wants to make a real sort of like traditional Empire army, just gives them maybe an opportunity to not feel as bad about it.
I think what I like most about this is this hits more people in the community than just we saw like with the Cathay Arcane Journal as an example. Like I think the reason there was so much hype around the Cathay book, the initial one, was because it was like a new army for everyone to kind of get their teeth into. This is like this is hitting quite a lot of people, and most of us are multi-army collectors. So everyone's like, everyone's looking for their next opportunity to make an excuse for a silly hobby purchase. So people are like, no, I can make Slayers work. Screw those guys. Someone else is like, no, I'm going to build some robber barons. I'm excited about that. And all of that's really good.
Yep. And I would also want to shout out my and also shout out my favorite third-party mini manufacturer. This is free clout for them. Avatars of War have a really great plastic Slayer kit. You can actually get plastic Slayers from them.
Whoa.
I have a boatload of them. So yeah, it can be done. And then there's all kinds of great STLs if you don't, the original metal ones are, I think, for sale. And they're classics. I think a lot of people really love those models, and many people probably are like, wow, I'd love a whole army of those. And now you have the permission to go out and spend whatever it costs to get that many Slayers.
You can at least get Ungrim. So
you get Ungrim. Yeah, Ungrim's so sick. I fully support. I have him in a blister pack somewhere for sure.
Yeah, so get yourself a young Grim. Okay, well, I hope you've all enjoyed that review. Val, it's been really fun. There'll be a bunch of links and stuff that you need for the stuff we talked about earlier down below. But as always, a special thank you for watching. Special thank you for tuning in. And I hope you really enjoy this. And any constructive feedback you got about the review or anything that we could do in the future, please do let us know. And thanks to everyone on Patreon for supporting us. I think is the TLDR. Got any shout outs before we go?
My only shout out. Square Based Open Toronto. But I've said that already. Thanks to everyone for watching, and I hope you enjoy the rules.